So I'm the creative director.
Hence the off-center hat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got to make sure people read you as creative. So.
Okay.
So I oversee all sorts of different parts of the game and just try and set ambitious goals for the team to meet and help them get there. I worked on all the Rock Band hardware and Dance Central 1 through 3. Dan also has worked on all the Dance Central games with me. So it's pretty great, actually. The team is a mix of folks who've been working on Dance Central, working on Rock Band, and I think it really takes all of the things we've learned about making Connect games and all the things we've learned about making music games and takes both of those things to a new level. So we have a couple levels that we can show you, but we're going to check out Fantasia Music Evolved. It's a new music game that we're working on with Disney. The genesis of the project was about 3 years ago. Disney came to us and said, hey, we're looking to make a Fantasia game, and everyone at Harmonix is hugely excited. Tons and tons of deep Fantasia fans at Harmonix, and we've been working on the game pretty much ever since then. The beginning of the process was pretty exploratory. Disney was pretty insistent that we should make something that was true to the spirit of Fantasia, but not Fantasia, the movie, the game. So we did a lot of reading of the stenographer's notes from Disney's meetings during the late 1930s, leading up to the release of Fantasia in 1940, and it tried to capture a lot of what Walt's goals were in a new form that's interactive, some 70 years later. What we're really trying to do is create an experience similar to an experience that someone might have had if they walked into a theater in 1940 and saw the original film. It was the first film presented in surround sound. It was the first film with unique color process to just get really rich and gorgeous animations.
It was the first surround sound?
Yeah, he created this thing.
What year?
In 1940.
Wow.
They had these. They cost $30,000 back in 1940, which is quite a pretty penny.
Some guy running around with a speaker?
They installed like 30 plus speakers or something, and like 9 channels of sound, something crazy like that, all around these different theaters. There were only 12 in the entirety of the United States that were actually able to play it. He was looking into like essentially smell-o-vision. There was talk of like maybe the intro will be in 3D. So really ambitious film, and we were trying to figure out what can we do this day and age that would have a similar impact and feel equally ambitious and futuristic. So we can take a look at some of the gameplay we've made there. Two levels. We have a sort of underwater level called the Shoal, and we have a factory, like a newspaper factory called the Press. I feel like most people have seen the Shoal, so maybe we should take a look at the Press. What do you think?
This is Xbox One?
Yes, so this will be coming out for Xbox One and Xbox 360 with Kinect in 2014. So this is an early look at what we've been making. So Dan's arrived here in the Press, and it's pretty dark, and there's a machine that's in the background that's broken. So Dan's going to use a three-dimensional cursor that we call the Muse to send some blue robots over to fix this blue machine. So Dan's brought daytime to the factory, and now the robots are going to, idle around. Dan can navigate the whole scene in 3 dimensions by, reaching his hand in and touching the world. And he can do things like, mess with the grates, knock over some robots. And as he finds new interactions in the scene, they'll all spit out magic. And as he fills up that bar, he's going to eventually, earn a symbol for his Sorcerer's Apprentice hat. He is studying under the tutelage of Yen Sid, the wizard from the Sorcerer's Apprentice short, and he's learning to be a Sorcerer's Apprentice in the world of Fantasia, a world where music is magic. So he's going to use his cursor to find one of our song portals, and he'll be able to just reach up his other hand, part them, and zoom in. So this is the sort of beat match gameplay, and it's somewhat free-form gesturally. It's not as instructive as Dance Central choreography. You have a fair amount of freedom in how you want to interpret the gesture commands that you see on screen. So Dan can do these with either hand, and you know, with all sorts of different inflection, big movements, small movements, and then what you see in those three colored moments are choice opportunities. So there's 3 mixes of the song going at the same time. In this version, there's the original mix of Bruno Mars, there's a kind of ska remix, and an electronic remix. And at each choice moment, Dan can pick a new stem to add. So you can add in, you know, ska horns, or like, you know, electronic percussion. Here, Dan's filling in the sides of a prism, and inside that prism is a musical manipulator. So in addition to those choice moments we also have these moments you can reach out and actually grab the music. So Dan's gonna create a stutter sample that's gonna play over the next section of the song. So as he reaches his hands out, he's recording little bits of that loop and it's playing back. So now that stutter loop that he made is in the song and playing along. So Dan's added some ska bass to this Bruno Mars song. So with each choice that Dan makes, not only does the sound change, but also the gesture cues. So each playthrough is totally unique from an audio standpoint, but also from a gameplay standpoint. There's all sorts of, you know, optimal pathing you can do to find the paths that have the most points, but you can also, you know, play just for creative potential. So here, Dan's using a manipulator called the Sound Sketcher to create a unique melodic phrase. And that melodic phrase is now added to the song as well. Section as Dan performs better and better, the screen becomes more alive with more reactive particles. Nice.
Awesome. That is totally cool.
So now the magic that Dan has created in that song is going to come back out into this discovery realm. And it coalesces in what we call a transformation key. Now Dan can take his muse and activate that transformation key, which will bring more music and magic into this world. But it also happened to break the newspaper folding machine. So now Dan needs to go back to the robot foreman and negotiate with him for some yellow robots. So yellow robots go and fix up the Bruno Mars folding machine, which sets the newspapers off and gives us a sort of midday lighting state and more magic to collect. So it's also unlocked a new interaction. There's a magnet right here, and if Dan uses his muse and hovers over the magnet, he can suck up different robots. And the more robots he sucks up, the more that musical cue will just deepen and become richer. And if Dan goes to the far left of the screen, there's a couple other ways that we can play with and mess with these robots. There's a shrink ray. So if Dan connects his muse to the shrink ray, he can shrink the robots. And they'll make different sounds when they're shrunk or when they're bigger. So if Dan goes back to that transformation key, we can check out its other state. So in one state, you have a magnet that's released into the realm. And then in an additional state, it unlocks a deeper node. So in each of the realms of Fantasia, there are all these interactions on the core part of the level, but there's also zoomable interactions so that you have a deeper musical interaction. So if Dan moves his muse over to that new portal that's been opened, he can zoom in, and we'll check out this sort of parallax depth puzzle. So the Bruno Mars music has embedded itself in this machine, and Dan's gonna boot it back up. So as he moves his muse in 3D, each one of these fuses releases an electric charge. When he connects 3, they'll play a part of the stem, and then it'll get locked in. So we have the guitars going. Dan walks left and right. The fuses are parallaxing into different positions, so they get close enough to each other that he can connect them. And if Dan walks even further over, he can connect these purple fuses. Just adds in an organ sound, or the bass sound. So now Dan gets to hear the thing he put together, and he's completed what we call the build stage. So each one of these node interactions, we first start out showing you what all the different musical potentials are, and then we let you create your own thing. So now Dan has tons of different fuses. As he walks left and right, he can bring them in closer proximity to each other to add horns or guitar, bass, add a little bass. It's sometimes hard to hear the bass with the subwoofers of world of warplanes going on, but so double up on the bass. And now, similar to the sound sketcher manipulator that Dan was using, he'll be able to vocode Bruno Mars over the steps he made. So when Dan puts his hands down, the vocoded phrase that he recorded will play back, and he can go back in and edit it if he wants. And if he zooms out, that vocoded phrase that he made will join the background of the level. And now this machine here will sing the part that Dan made. So now as Dan's hanging out in the level, every few seconds or so, or like a minute or so, that vocoded phrase that he created will play in the level. So as he's creating new musical potential, he's also adding to the rich musical landscape of this level. So if Dan walks to the left a little bit, we can check out the other song in this level, which is Levels by Avicii. Yeah, why not? So we have all sorts of music here. Usually we talk about our song list on the order of decades. Here we talk on the order of centuries. Not only contemporary music, classic rock like Queen, but also classical music. We have Night on Bald Mountain from the original film, and there'll be more classical music in the shipping game. So here Dan can choose between like sort of chiptunes 8-bit style remix, an original mix, and like a dark electro mix. So Dan adds in some 8-bit style drums. You can see the gameplay really reflects the sonic quality of each choice that you make. So Dan's bringing in some sweeping synthesizers from the green mix. Now Dan's using the sound sketcher to control the drum programming. So in the top part it gets a little more dense and the bottom's a little more sparse. He's going from a dense beat to a pretty sparse beat. And now that gets added in as the background drums for the next part. At the bottom of the screen here, you can see that Dan has a combination of blue, pink, and 2 greens. So he has, green for the vocals and the synth right now, the blue drums, and a pink bass sound from the original mix. So Dan's going to unlock another manipulator, and that let him create a new melodic part. And Dan can punch back in and edit that if he wants. Nice. So when you're playing in the game and you're learning about all these songs, you're also unlocking potential in those songs. So you'll be unlocking new mixes, new manipulators as you gain proficiency with each mix. So you'll know all the different parts you're going to add and what they sound like because we'll have taken you through each one. Each song has its sort of own leveling up process. So Dan's created another transformation key in this level, and if history is any indication, he'll probably break a machine if he uses it, but we'll take that risk. We have one more machine to fix. So our red ink machine is broken down, and Dan's going to coax some robots into fixing that as well. So Dan has luckily shrunken some robots in advance so they can fit through that little door. Otherwise, we would have had to shrink the robots to get that machine fixed. But that's now added some new sounds to the shrink ray, and it's created a gorgeous color for all of the newspapers that are flowing around. And now Dan has discovered all the different interactions within this level, and that unlocks the final manipulator. So if he goes to the center of the screen, he can zoom into this node that has appeared. That creates a manipulator, and so those manipulators we saw in the performance play are now also in Discovery. So Dan can create a new melodic line that will be added to the Bruno Mars vocoded sample and all the other rich music that's in that level, and we'll create sort of like a disco ball for all the robots to dance around with after they've had a long day of work fixing broken machines. So now that Dan's unlocked all the different musical interactions in this world, he can continue to explore it, make a new sample, change the manipulator, and go back and play the songs and hear different remixes of them. But that's the press.
So it's coming 2014?
Yep.
Wow. Very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. Only Xbox One.
Xbox One and Xbox 360 with Kinect.
Of course. Okay. So because you have to have the Kinect, clearly. So is this taking the whole Rock Band? Is it basically making your body the peripheral? And
we see it as a sort of remix conducting, the transforming sound with your body, and we're looking to that moment in the Sorcerer's Apprentice short where Mickey is up on the cliff and he's conducting the heavens and conducting the sea. We're trying to put the player into that place. And so, you get closer to music when you feel it in your body. But while we've had great experience building, full-on instructive choreography, we wanted something here that was more about creativity, more about bringing people closer to music that they love. When, we look back to Walt's vision in 1940, he was trying to make people find a way to get closer to classical music through the storytelling of animation. And in this day and age, when pretty much everything is sunk to music, it's difficult to imagine, just syncing things to music being as transformative as it was back then. So what we wanted to do is give people unparalleled access to their music, unparalleled personalization. And in a world where everyone's making fan edits of their favorite TV shows and fan art of their favorite characters, we wanted to let people actually change the music that they love.
Well, it's nice to see what you've been working on, and thanks so much for all of the time.
Oh, our pleasure.
We'll look forward to buying new sound equipment next year.
Yeah, I think, like the Fantasia Laserdisc was one of those things that when people had their home theaters in the 80s, they were like really interested in showing. And I think similarly, this game will show incredibly well when people get their Xbox One, their surround sound systems, their big displays. It's gorgeous visuals, and from super abstract stuff to really representational. These days, I'm mostly an electronic producer.
I figured I hered a lot of synthesizers.
But I had like an indie pop band. We were in rock bands.
Oh, really?
A lot of harmonics bands. And actually, like our director of communications, we was demoing the other room, was a drummer in that band.
What's your main instrument?
Bass usually. But
okay.
Bass and vocals.
You're a Renaissance guy. That's what you are. That's really cool.
I have a K-oscillator.
Yeah.
You've ever seen one? And I don't know.
There's some inspiration there. Yeah.
Okay, I thought there was. That's totally cool.
Harmonics has been quiet for a little bit, so I figured something was cooking.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. I mean, there's like in the order of 20 or so different prototypes that were made trying to figure out exactly what the game is going to be. It's an amazing prompt, right? Make a Fantasia game, but it's a really open-ended prompt. And given that it was make something that's inspired by the inspiration behind Fantasia, it's a kind of almost a weak prompt.
That's a tough challenge. I mean, many will try, and it's not easy to step in the shoes of Walt. But I think he'd be really proud from if he was alive today. It's a fun mind game. Like if he was to walk in the room, what would he be doing with this technology? And one can guess that it would be in high def and have pretty good audio. So
yeah, that's the question we've been asking ourselves, and I kind of see it as almost fan fiction. What if Walt's vision for the always new Fantasia had happened? He wanted the movie to always be in theaters and always have new segments added to it. You'd see it all the time. If the movie had been running for 70 years, I'd like to think that it would have ended up something like this.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you.